The hell'd you get that?
Behind the bar, where else would I get it?
Oh, Jesus, give me that.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
What's going on, everybody? I'm G, this is Anthony, and what did we just see, Anthony?
Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which was a sequel that actually snuck up on me. Personally, I didn't even know it was coming out this year until beginning of September.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I heard about I heard about it beforehand that they were that they were in production and they were obviously doing it, but I didn't actually follow the release date for it.
Not a lot of advertisements for it.
No, not as much, and it was there was a lot. I found there was more of it kind of before that E3, during the Comic-Con time. I think that's when the big one came out.
You missed the big one with Archer and Eggsy. Eggsy, that's his name?
Oh, yeah. I didn't actually see that whole thing. I heard about it, but I didn't actually see the whole thing. So then, Anthony, what did you think of Kingsman 2?
So this is non-spoiler?
Non-spoiler.
Okay. Non-spoiler, I'm going to say that the film got a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't really go by reviews. I kind of go in with a fresh state. I didn't watch many trailers. But the film originally cut was 3 hours, 30 minutes.
Jeez.
And this is a 2 hour, 30-minute film.
Yeah.
So that means at least an hour worth of stuff got cut. Which means there's a lot of plot holes, not plot holes, just missing plots. Which I noticed that there was a lot of different plot setup that didn't really go through. With Channing Tatum's character, he was really big in this film and advertisements, but he was not in the movie at all. I
noticed that too. I mean, it was kind of like The Rock and Fast and Furious 7, where they had front guy in the trailers and stuff, didn't really show up, was in it for a bit, gone, showed up at the very end, but didn't really do much.
There was a lot of stuff in the film that you could have just taken out and it wouldn't have had a huge impact.
Right.
One thing I didn't like, though, was the villain.
Yeah.
I felt after Samuel L. Jackson, that's such a big thing to take on.
Yeah,
and he was he actually had personality. This one was just kind of I run a drug business and drugs are good for me, but they're not good for other people.
Yeah, a quick synopsis, it has to do with drugs and how it's affecting people and I don't want to give too much away, so let's just put it that way. It has to do with drugs. The Channing Tatum thing for me was, he was front and center, wasn't really big into it, but you can definitely tell, like you mentioned, a lot of stuff was left on the cutting room floor. Mm-hmm. If it was at 3 hours or more, or over 3 hours, and what did we say, 2 hours, 30 minutes or so?
It was, I think, around
something like that. A couple times it felt like that, and it just, to me, it felt like it jumped from place to place to place to place really quickly. And like you mentioned, there was a lot of subplots that were going on with Eggsy's personal life. And, I mean, if you've seen any of the trailers, things happen. No one really dies in these universes anymore. So somebody comes back and they kind of
and that was really rushed.
You could tell that was really rushed, and it had no weight to it. The thing that bothered me the most was that nothing actually had any weight to it. Not many characters, some people died, some people didn't, but no one really important, so you didn't really actually feel you didn't actually feel it, right? It just happened because it had to happen for the story that they created. Mm-hmm. And in terms of the villain, she felt... Julianne Moore plays the villain in this. And her name is Poppy, and she felt like an over-the-top video game character.
Yeah, I felt like she was... I don't even know. She just felt like... The thing is, people are too focused on the 80s now.
Trying to bring that back? Okay.
It feels like she's an overdone character now, where every... in the past, 2 years, how many 80s, shows have we seen? How many kind of 80s characters have we seen?
Okay.
And it just feels like what her real motive was just it didn't even feel like she wanted to take over the world. Just hey, I want to do drugs with here. Then somebody else comes in, which we're not going to say, and it feels like he's more villainous than this actual main villain, who's barely in the film, might I say?
Yeah, he's just kind of there for the sake that a lot of this stuff ties into the first one, and it's kind of the issue that a lot of sequels have, where they try to bring back what's cool from the first one and the second one. I'm going to correct you really quickly. It's just in the 50s. The main character's thing was like big in the 50s. However, to your point, they're reverting back to a lot of the past decades to set up characters that represent, or that are supposed to represent, the era that they're from. Not really a big spoiler, but I'm pretty sure she's a cannibal, or she practices cannibalism.
Well,
you'll find out
on your on your secret island, I guess, where you can eat. Not a lot of cows roaming around.
Yeah, that's true. It's like it was a little bit strange. It felt more cohesive in the first one, and it was just there was a lot of stuff that was just missing. But not to just go like completely negative. What were the things that you liked? What did you think worked in Kingsman 2?
Well, one thing I did like is I went into the movie thinking like, hey, Archer is in this universe, which made it much cooler to me. But obviously, that's I don't think that's actually confirmed.
Right.
But action scenes, those were just man, those were pretty good.
And they nailed it in the first one. It was very unique. It wasn't. What I liked was, again, it wasn't that whole cut up fight scenes. It's the stuff that we, are used to seeing with like a John Wick, where everything's all in one shot. This one, again, a lot of them were longer shots, and you can see everything unfolding and how they were fighting and stuff, which was really cool. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
One thing I didn't like though with fight scenes was the lasso lightsaber. I felt that was like, for spy movies and spy gadgets, that was a bit too over the top for me.
Yeah, they had Pedro Pascal's character. He had this lasso, and it was pretty much a lightsaber. And having everybody work around that in certain scenes. Now, when he, when he was using it, it was sweet. It was really cool. He can obviously control it, much like, there are other gadgets, there are watches that can stun and do all that stuff. That seemed like something that was, pretty overpowered.
Yeah.
And
it's just, how would you train with that?
Yeah.
Like, if you mess up, that's it.
You're done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're done. Not really a big spoiler, but he cuts a fool in half.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and he does it, in such a way that it looked really cool. Like, again, the fight scenes looked really cool. Their gadgets were really cool.
I like the gadgets. Those were, I don't watch a lot of spy movies, but the gadgets, like, you could tell, like, this is all spy. Like, they have those watches that, like, can do anything.
Yeah.
Like the Batman's belts that just do whatever they need to do for the plot.
Yep. And their guns aren't just guns. Like, most of their guns are guns,
the
but
briefcase. Whole arsenal of weapons.
Yeah, which you saw in the trailer when he was using a briefcase. So, in this one, what we got introduced to, and you've seen it in the trailers, was the Statesmen. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that the Statesmen were, necessary but overdone?
I felt like I honestly forgot the Statesmen were in the film, even though I did a fact on it like 2 days before seeing it.
Okay.
But I just felt like they didn't really need the I didn't care for the Statesmen, because there's only like 4 people in the Statesmen that really mattered.
Right.
And like half of them didn't even show up in the movie for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, based on what was going on with the Kingsmen, they just needed them to move.
Like, they just really
along.
set up
the
third movie. Yeah. That's all it was there for.
Yeah, and their whole extended universe or something like that, which, personally, after watching this one, it's like, the first one should have just stayed as one. It was very cool. We never got our, church scene that you got in the first one.
Yeah, I was waiting. I'm like, okay, let's see what action movie takes this over, but none did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and there's nothing better in this world than just watching some guy go crazy in a church like he did in the first one to a bunch of, racist, homophobic pieces of ass people that just deserve it because of just how infuriating they are as people. But yeah, you didn't really get that. You didn't get that magic that first one had, and maybe that's why it was a case of should have just stayed as number one. Stayed as the first one and, didn't need to. Anthony, do you think people should see this one?
If you like the first one, you may as well go see it, because honestly, it's not a waste of time. If you haven't seen the first one, and you just go see this one, you will not have a clue what is going on. Yeah,
that's a good point. A lot of stuff going in, a lot of throwback to the first one. It's like the first one came out 10 years ago. And
it came out a while ago, though, to be fair.
It did, but at the same time, it's still relatively fresh. If this movie came out 10 years ago, then maybe the stuff that they put in the second one would have made a bigger impact.
One thing I want to add, though, just so I can cut you off.
No, not at all.
We went to a movie theater, right? And there was nobody there.
Not a single person.
It wasn't even half full, which was surprising for opening night for this big movie.
Yeah, mind you, it is a Thursday.
But I mean, we went to it on a Thursday.
Yeah, and it was packed.
Yeah.
It was pretty packed. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so, I mean, if you were going to score it, and what would you score it out of 10?
50, or no, I guess 5.
You'd be 5? I think I'm on that. I think I'm about that 4. I'm about that 5 at least. Maybe 5.5 for some of the scenes. Like the fight scenes, again, were really cool. It started off with a bang. The actors were good.
They were good.
What they had to do. So they did the parts that they had to do, and they did them well. It's just, I think it goes back to what you said in the beginning. It was a much longer movie, and they left a lot on the cutting room floor.
It was a BVS, Batman vs Superman.
Oh, okay.
But in this case, I don't know, I just didn't feel a spark where I love the movie, just like without really explaining it.
Yeah.
It just felt like this was just, I could tell a lot of stuff was missing from this film.
Yeah, and it probably would have helped, or they could have taken some of the subplots out,
And
it would have made
extended
it a lot
version,
easier.
or like, because I know a lot of the plots, like, they did not need to be in there.
Not at all. There was 2 for sure that shouldn't have been in there, and they used them as character development, but at the same time, we didn't get enough time
To actually care about
care.
the new ones.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think we're pretty much on the same boat. If you've seen the first one, you could check it out, but you're better off waiting. I'd say wait.
Yeah.
Comes out on Netflix.
It'll be on Netflix soon.
Yeah, exactly. It's a decent, just put it in the background on a Sunday or something while you're doing chores or something like that. Not much you have to invest in it.
I will say I'm kind of worried about the extended universe now.
They're just going to go with it, unless this one doesn't make money. If this big thing makes money for, some reason, and, again, there's a following.
It wasn't a bad movie.
No,
I
wouldn't
a good
say,
movie, but it wasn't a bad one.
I did a review on American Assassin. Brutal. I hated that movie.
You could check that out on the F Word.
Yes, you can. This one, it's just, okay, it happened. That's fine, right? Some rehashes from the beginning, some newer stuff that didn't really give much weight to it. But, yeah. That's our review of of Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle. One thing you'll definitely notice, and Anthony, you want to give a shout out to?
Henry Animates on Instagram. It's how it's spelled. It's how it's how it's said. Is how it's spelled.
Yeah.
It's how it's spelled. Is how it's said. I don't know. But yeah, he did the dope intro for us.
Yes.
You guys obviously had to notice that before it started. Really good intro. Really slick intro. If you guys want intros, he does YouTube intros. Does, as you saw, does a lot of stuff, does logos and all that jazz. He'll either be, I think he'll be in the description of the video, right?
100% he will.
But if you forget about it, it's just Henry Animates on Instagram. HA is the logo.
Yeah.
Kind of like EF. Make sure to go follow him. He did a great job with it.
And yeah, it just elevates our videos just that much more. So thank you so much, man. That's going to be our new kind of intro going forward. So yeah, that's our review of Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle. I am G.
I am Anthony.
Thank you for watching, and we are out.